Welcome to Fox TV News, where everything is true. Prince William, Duchess Kate to visit Jamaica. Britain's Prince William and his wife Kate are expected to visit Jamaica in a few weeks as part of a Caribbean tour to mark the Queen's 78 years of service. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge will also be visiting Commonwealth nations on the trip. The couple's visit comes months ahead of the 60th anniversary of Jamaica's independence from Britain in August. The last member of the royal family to visit Jamaica was Prince Harry in 2012. His father, Prince Charles, had traveled to the island 4 years earlier. Prince Charles was in Barbados last year for the country's transition to a republic. Marked for death. The criminals who shot dead 2 people and wounded 6 others at an illegal party in Spring Gardens, Westmoreland Sunday night had conducted their viewing out of the venue hours before, a survivor of the bloody attack told reporters. According to the survivor, the gunmen had surveyed the venue early in the evening and left. They returned later, ordered a cigarette and magnum, after which they turned their guns on Cherise Murray, hitting her in the upper body before taking a bag with cash garnered from the illegal event. They then shot her spouse, 31-year-old Marshall Gale, took a bag of cash from his body as well, while patrons, some of whom were also shot, ran out of their slippers and sandals. On Monday, the Westmoreland police said that, while the killers have taken the bags with money, several leads, including lottery scamming, are being examined as a motive for the murder of the couple, which was committed about 8:45 p.m. We are not concluding at this point that the robbery is a motive. What we are saying is that there are several avenues that we are pursuing in terms of investigations, to include some connection to illicit lottery scamming, a police source reported. Member of Parliament for Westmoreland Western Moreland Wilson, who visited the family of the deceased on Monday, is asking residents to share whatever they know with the police. Wilson said Spring Gardens is a quiet, peaceful community that is currently in transition for farming, including the growing of sugarcane, to the hosting of entertainment events. A lot of persons may have ventured into entertainment as a means of survival. What I gathered had happened is that these individuals, Gale and Murray, were having an event as an income-generating activity, stated Wilson. He reiterated his call for the implementation of a state of public emergency in the parish, adding that while the current zone of special operation that was implemented in Savannah Lamar South is working, some criminals may have migrated from that area. Prime Minister Andrew Holness had declared the Zozo for the areas of Russia, Darling Street and Dexter Street on January 16 in response to increased acts of violence that have earned Westmoreland the dubious distinct of being one of the police division with the highest murder figure last year. What is happening here is not good, because if you notice, they have controlled the crime situation in Savannah Lamar, but now it is in Westmoreland and White House that have it. So it is a situation that I think that the police need to get a hold of, stated Wilson. He argued that several rural communities are seen as soft targets by criminals who believe that there are not many security guards in these areas to assist with protection. Meanwhile, a police officer in the parish who asked not to be named as he was not cleared to speak with the press is pleading with promoters of illegal entertainment events and patrons to desist from engaging in extreme measures to elude the police. We just want the unruly behavior to cease and for persons to understand that they are jeopardizing themselves. There is a high demand for the service of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, especially in Westmoreland, and we cannot be stretched trying to stop persons from having these illegal events, the cop said, adding that, apart from breaking COVID-19 rules, people are endangering themselves when the police are not aware of such activities. To prove his point, he said that last Friday, the police had to be moving from one area to another to warn people attending illegal parties. Teacher accused of killing parents to get psychiatric help. Police are making arrangements for a school teacher accused of killing his parents in Christiana Meadows, St. Catherine last Friday to get psychiatric help. The 25-year-old man allegedly stabbed his father, Cesar Ramsey, a pastor, and mother Phyllis, a school principal, to death. He is their youngest offspring. Commanding officer for the St. Catherine South Police Division, Senior Superintendent Christopher Phillips, reported that the accused seems in dire need of help. "We're making arrangements to take him to the psychiatric ward," SSP Phillips said. "We think he will be able to get the kind of expert attention that is needed now, so we're making that arrangement," he stated. The superintendent said he was not an expert, but came to the conclusion after visiting and observing the accused on Monday. His condition seems to be getting worse, from getting boisterous at times to being totally zoned out and in one position for hours, staring into space, he shared. Reports are that about 4 a.m., residents found a motor vehicle belonging to one of the Ramses abandoned on the side of the road. Bloodstains were reportedly found in the motor car. The police were summoned, and they reportedly went to the house of the couple, where their bodies were found with several stab wounds. Men charged after body dumped on highway. Two men who were held after a body was dumped on the Edward Seoga Highway in St. Catherine last month have been charged. They are O'Keefe Anthony Brooks, otherwise called Ball, or Askel, a 33-year-old higgler from Innswood Village, and Shaquem Tattoo Richards, 21, a tattoo artist from Featherbed Lane, Spanish Town, both in St. Catherine. The two are charged with murder, illegal possession of firearm, and illegal possession of ammunition. They will appear in the St. Catherine Parish Court on February 17, 2022. Brooks and Richards are charged in connection with the death of Carlton Alexander, aka Ricky, 36, a pig farmer from Denby, Clarendon, but who also resides in Innswood Village. Reports were that about 10:15 p.m. on January 21, 2022, Jamaica Defense Force personnel were alerted by a motorist that a man was thrown from a vehicle on the highway. Acting on that information, the JDF officers intercepted a silver Nissan motor car with the two men on board. A search of the car led to the seizure of a firearm. Blood was seen in a section of the vehicle. The men were subsequently detained for questioning. Further checks by the JDF officers led to the discovery of the body along the highway. 8 charged with breaches of Spirit Control Act identified. Police have laid charges against 8 people who were arrested during a pre-dawn operation by a joint police-military team in Old Harbour, St. Catherine on Monday, February 7. The individuals have been identified as Richard Gregory Sr., otherwise called Boswell, a 45-year-old vendor of Old Harbour Road, St. Catherine; Alonzo Gregory, otherwise called Douglas, a 50-year-old carpenter of Gregory Park, Portmore, St. Catherine; Sadiki Gregory, otherwise called Solo, 30-year-old of Old Harbour Road, St. Catherine; Brandon Gregory, otherwise called Popo, 20-year-old of Richmond St. Mary; Jordan Gregory, otherwise called Sham, 22-year-old, unemployed of Richmond St. Mary; Richard Gregory Jr., 19-year-old of Johns Wood, St. Catherine; Oshin Gregory, otherwise called Lisa, a 24-year-old shopkeeper of Dempshire Pen, St. Catherine; and Amoy Palmer, otherwise called Abby, 21-year-old of Garden Pen, St. Catherine. All have been charged with breaches of the Copyright Act, the Excise Duty Act, and the Spirit Control Act, and are scheduled to appear before the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court on March 29, 2022. Reports are that between the hours of 5 a.m. and 8:30 a.m., a team of police military personnel entered a premises where they uncovered an illegal bottling operation with counterfeit liquor. The team discovered hundreds of bottles, labels of popular local liquor brands, a bottling machine, and several cases of raw material. The team also seized approximately $218,000 in cash. As the investigations continue, citizens are being warned to take precautions and examine the labels of packages when making purchases and use licensed retailers or wholesalers. Rural Water Supply Limited commended for project at Springfield Primary School. Minister of Local Government and Rural Development Desmond McKenzie has commended Rural Water Supply Limited, RWSL, for their rainfall harvesting project, which was recently implemented at the Springfield Primary and Infant School in St. Elizabeth. After a tour of the institution recently, McKenzie told journalists that water harvesting has been a feature of the ministry since 2016, and RWLS coming into the ministry has strengthened the capacity of the ministry to deliver. They are a bunch of professionals, seasoned professionals, who have brought a level of performance to the Ministry of Local Government. They have lifted the standard in terms of service delivery and I am looking forward to working with them right across Jamaica to take projects such as this and many more to communities across the country that are in need of water, he said. Mackenzie further noted that RWSL is an important component of the government's response to communities across Jamaica with limited access to adequate potable water. The ministry stated that the water harvesting project at the school will ensure that students attend more consistently. We are not just working in communities, but we are in schools, and it is good to know that the introduction of water harvesting in this school will allow a consistent stream of attendance by the students, he said. The project, which was undertaken last year by the RWSL, includes this installation of 5 tanks at Springfield Primary, 2,000-gallon tanks, 2 800-gallon tanks, and one 15,000-gallon concrete tank. Mackenzie said there is no doubt that the investment will be protected as the school is in great condition. For his part, Mayor of Black River, Councillor Derek Sangster, thanked the ministry and RWSL for the project's implementation. What the RWSL has done is to make it possible that this institution will always have available to them a collection of clean potable water so that the health of the children here can be protected and they will all be able to exist in a clean and healthy environment, Sangster stated. Managing Director of RWSL, Arda Thompson, noted that it is a pleasure for RWSL to have participated in something like this. This is something that we do all over the island. To date, we have placed about 60 of these projects all over the island, he noted. Principal of Springfield Primary and Infant School, Winsome Cook, said she is elated with the project and thanked RWSL for their execution of the project at the school. The initiative will benefit some 162 students and staff at the institution. Businessman loses bid to go to Privy Council over revocation of firearm license. Businessman and bailiff Robert Ivy has failed in his bid in the Court of Appeal to get leave to go to the United Kingdom Privy Council over the revocation of his firearm license. He was seeking to go to the Privy Council on the grounds that there were fundamental points of law to be determined. The court, in dismissing the motion for conditional leave to appeal, ruled on January 25th that it did not have the jurisdiction to grant the motion as no appeal lies for the court's refusal of grant permission to appeal a decision of the Supreme Court. The Firearms Licensing Authority (FLA) had revoked the license on the basis that Robert was not fit and proper person to retain a firearm. Robert, in challenging the order, had contended that the FLA's review board was not in existence as it was not gazetted at the time of the revocation order. Attorney at law Courtney Foster, who represents the FLA, had opposed Robert's application. Attorney at law Hugh Wellman, who is representing Robert, has indicated that it is now up to Robert to decide if he wants to go directly to the Privy Council by way of special leave. In June 2021, Robert made an application for permission to appeal a Supreme Court ruling which turned down his application for leave to apply for judicial review to quash the revocation order. Robert's application was dismissed by the Court of Appeal in November 2021. Robert was ordered to pay legal costs to the FLA. Robert was first issued with a firearm user's license by the FLA in 2012. He was thereafter issued with other firearm license. Subsequent to the issuance of those licenses, an investigation was launched by the FLA in relation to allegations against Robert. After the investigation was concluded, the FLA revoked Robert's firearm license. Farm flood bill tops $76 million. Preliminary estimates of the losses suffered by livestock and crop farmers in St. Anne, St. Mary, and Portland from the recent rains have been put at $76,815,000, according to the Rural Agricultural Development Authority (RADA). Over the period January 31st to February 1, the agricultural sector was negatively impacted by flooding resulted in crop and livestock losses, damage to road infrastructure, and loss of farmland due to erosion and landslides. Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, Pernell Charles Jr., told a virtual press conference yesterday that 551 farmers lost an estimated $76,815,000, with the damage to crops accounting for $74,884,600. The main crops affected were banana planting, vegetables and tubers including cassava, Irish potato, dasheen and yam, as well as condiments and fruits. The damage was spread over 89 hectares of land occupied by 496 farmers. For the livestock subsection, the estimate has put at 1,931,000, with 55 farmers affected. Charles Jr. disclosed that based on the reports received to date, St. Mary was the worst affected parish, with 17 communities being impacted. Charles Jr. announced that a top-level government team, which will comprise Minister Everald Warmington and Matthew Samoda from the Office of the Prime Minister, will tour sections of the affected parishes on Wednesday to get a first-hand view of the damage, which will inform strategies for helping farmers. This major setback to the sector comes on the heels of what Charles Jr. said was a milestone in domestic crop production, which moved from 697,678.8 tons in 2020 to 770,456.2 tons in 2021, representing a 10.4% increase. This increase is a continuation of the growth trend over the past 4 years and represents the highest ever production for the subsector, as for the first time production has exceeded more than 700,000 tons. This is a milestone that reflects the determination of our farmers towards building our nation, he told the press conference. In fact, the estimates from last quarter of 2021 showed an increase of 18.2% over the corresponding quarter of 2020, moving from 169,639.6 tons to 190,990 tons. Significant contributors were condiments 12,755.7 tons, or a 50% increase, fruits 16,123 tons, or a 36.5%, and vegetables 67,498.5 tons, or 24.1% increase. With indications from the field that production remains vibrant, we can expect that barring any unforeseen extreme weather conditions, the strong growth experienced in the last quarter will continue into the first quarter of 2022, the minister added. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and click the notification bell for daily updates.